the longer you're doing the business and the more consistently you do the business, the more respect and credibility you will have and your business will have. Because a lot of people will look at you. Remember I said this earlier. People get caught up in the messenger more than they do the message. They're looking at you. You're going to them. You're sharing something with them. And they're basically looking at you. If somebody's not interested in the opportunity when you first initially share with them, and then a month later you're not actively building your business, you just destroyed the credibility of your word in terms of what you said in relation to the opportunity. You're letting the fact that they weren't interested make the determining factor of whether you pursue it or not, which means you never really believed in it in the first place because you'd be doing it whether they were doing it or not. You have to garner that respect and credibility, and you do that with longevity. You will be amazed at how many people you share this opportunity with early on that may not get involved, that will be involved 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, because they're going to believe it's real because you're still doing it, especially if you've done other opportunities. You've done 3 other opportunities, okay? Let's just say, and some of you in here, you've been in other networking programs, other endeavors, fine. But now you're going to them sharing this opportunity with them. Do you don't think it's possible they might think, really? So why is this one now the best one? Why is this product the best one? The only way you're ever going to get belief from them in you is your longevity and your consistency. If you start doing something for 6 months, a year, 2 years, people are going to know it's for real because you wouldn't be doing it that long otherwise. That has helped me make a fortune in this business. I could tell you some of the key people that I have in this business today were not people that I signed up right from day one. There were people that didn't sign up for a year or 2 years, even when I first got in this industry. When I first got in this industry, I'll give you an example, and this is why I believe you expose it to everybody. In my household, my family, of course, like most, education was stressed. Now, my brother, my oldest brother, he's ridiculous, academic scholar. Graduated high school at 16 years old, had all those advanced classes, went to Georgetown University, graduated with honors in 4 years, went to Cornell Law School, graduated #1 on Ivy League law school. He was the #1 academic in his law class. And then he was working, he was 26 years old, he was making $140,000 a year. You're talking about 25, probably 28 years ago. Park Avenue law firm, he's in Manhattan, he's got a beautiful view, all of that. Now here's me, right? Other end of the spectrum. I already told you. 6.5 years to go to college. 1.9 grade point average. I talked about that last night when I was here. I wasn't an academic person. Worked at a factory. Then I'm a social worker. So I find in this business, my brother was one of the first people I called because they told me, hey, expose to everybody. Share it with everybody. Don't try to recruit people. Just let people know what you're doing. So I did. Now, how many think when I shared this with my brother, my first opportunity, how many think that he gave notice immediately? He told me I was out of my mind. He told me it would never work. He told me it was a scam. He told me I was an idiot. He told me that I should have been a better student. Then I wouldn't be looking for harebrained schemes like this. He told me, hey, I'm your older brother and I'm a lawyer, but when you go to jail, don't call me. He told me all that. He told me all that. Now, of course, that could have been very discouraging, and I could have quit, but this is the one thing that I learned early on, too, and you need to realize this. If somebody wants to be negative about your business, always remember this. Ask yourself 2 questions, right? Ask yourself 2 questions in relation to them. What is it about that person that you want that they have? And secondly is, how much of the money do they make currently that they send you on a monthly basis? So if you don't want what they have, and they don't pay you, why do you care what they think? So like my brother, it didn't matter how much he made, because he wasn't giving me none of it anyway. And I didn't want his life because his life was miserable to me. The way he worked and the hours he put in and the way he had to commute to work and home from work, I wouldn't want any of that. Now, my point of this is that, so here's a guy who's very negative. He ain't never going to get in this business in a million years. You could have never made him believe in a second that he would. But the bottom line is, you see, the #1 thing people are going to judge when it comes to your personal contacts is they're going to judge your consistency, and they're going to respect your decision of what you're doing based upon your longevity. And he was a perfect example of that. That's why you got to commit the time, because you have to let it grow. You have to give it time to grow. It's like some of you get involved, 30, 60, 90 days. Your friends aren't in, family members didn't sign up like you thought, and you're done. That ain't enough time to grow anything. Have you ever planted anything before? If you plant something in the ground, do you know the first thing you see is not right out of the ground? The roots got to grow down. You don't see anything grow out of the ground until the roots are underneath the ground. You can't even see it. You might think it ain't growing. You could plant seeds and think it ain't growing, but it is. Because you can't see it because it's underground. See, everybody wants the roof of the skyscraper, but you don't want to spend the time in the hole to build a foundation. You got to get in the foundation. You got to build a foundation before you get to put the roof on. But you want the roof so fast, you forget to build the foundation, or you give up on the foundation and you miss the opportunity to have a skyscraper. You got to commit the time when it comes to your personal contacts. And you got to be strong, and you got to accept the fact that you're going to have a lot of rejection along the way. You are. But what aren't you going to receive a lot of rejection in if it allows you to also achieve greatness? There is nothing. Like, you can't be an actor and not be rejected. You're going to go to audition after audition after audition, and you're going to get turned down again and again and again. That's just what happens. If you play sports, you're going to face rejection the whole time. That's what it is. Overcoming adversity, overcoming turnovers, overcoming being rejected, striking out, getting out. That's what it is. You're going to have to face rejection. But one thing you have to do is you got to keep attacking no matter what. I send my kids out every day to school. I remind them every day. Well, they actually remind me because they know what the response is. I say, what's this day going to be like? What are you going to do today? And, of course, my kids say every day, Dad, I'm going to attack this day with greatness. I'm going to attack this day with greatness because you're going to face rejection. So you better keep attacking, because if you don't, you're just giving up. You're laying down. You just got to keep attacking. Just keep going. The thing about rejection is you don't die from it. It doesn't mean anything. You feel it because you create that. When you're a pro, not an amateur, you know it just comes with the territory. Here's the cool part. If you're consistent, if you stick to your 5-year plan, all you got to remember is no means not now. And look at this right here. The word no is in both those words. Not now. So here's the deal. I shared the opportunity with my brother years ago. He said absolutely, unequivocally no. He was negative about it, and he had no inkling in the world that he was going to get in this business. But when he said no, he just said not now. Because here's what I know for sure. Things change. Things change. In other words, somebody could have a good job today and not have a good job tomorrow. I mean, think about this. It's already been probably what? Maybe 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years now since the economy collapsed, since the real estate market imploded. I guarantee you, at that time, prior to that happening, if you would have talked to anybody in the mortgage business or the real estate business, they would be like, this is ridiculous, man. We are rolling. We're making so much cash. They weren't thinking about, geez, this is about to implode. I'm about to lose everything. All my properties are going down the toilet. Nobody was thinking that. Things change. Things change. Like my brother, he started to hate his job. He started to look at partners working at the firm. They were in their 70s, and they're still putting in the time like that. He was like, wow. He started to have a lot of these frustrations and dissatisfactions with what he was doing. Things change. So now all of a sudden my brother, when he's talking to me though, every time my brother says, Greg, how's it going? Great. What's going on? Everything. How's your new business? Man, better than you could ever imagine. I had the best attitude. And the best attitude, I will tell you this, what it'll do is it will annoy people, but it's also compelling at the same time. Because people don't have it, and the reason it's annoying to them is because you do and they don't. But eventually, they want it. It's going to make them curious as heck is how you're so excited, so positive all the time. People will follow you for that because people follow what they don't have. They don't follow what they do have. If you're not that way, if you're negative, if you're down, they ain't going to follow you because they already got that. That's why little things like, what's going on? Saying everything instead of what? What most people say. Nothing. What's going on? Nothing. Same old thing, different day. Those kind of responses are canned responses that let people know you got nothing going on. Do you think if Oprah Winfrey was up here right now and said, hey, Oprah, good to have you here. What's going on? Nothing, Greg. Nothing's going on. Highly unlikely. You think Bill Gates would say nothing? I doubt it. I guarantee you that never comes out of his mouth. What's going on? Man, I am so busy, Greg. I got so much going on. I got this, I got that. I'm doing this thing, I'm doing that. That's the attitude you got to have. You can't say nothing. If we already learned earlier today that thoughts are things, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, said thoughts are things, and you say nothing when someone says what's going on, thoughts are things. You say nothing, 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 nothing. What are your actions? Nothing, nothing. What are your results? Nothing. You got to say everything. You got to say it's great. You got to say, man, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because then that becomes also a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that makes you also contagious. And people got to see you in a different light than they see you now. You got to make changes. There's got to be a reason why they should listen to you. There's got to be a reason. So no means not now. Don't get caught up in no's. Understand, you just put them in your initial contact book. And that goes back to another tool that we have. You just go into your initial contact book, right? You put their name down in your initial contact book, just like I do, and I take notes. This person wasn't interested. Here's why. They were number one. Did I get referrals from them? I track people because I'm going to follow back up with them because I know people that said no today are just not nows for the future. I know that. They're going to be a customer. They're going to be an agent. They're going to refer me to somebody. No question if I do a good job and I follow up and I don't let it bother me. And most importantly, I'm still here. That's the biggest thing of all. So then you got to take action. And you got to sit down and you got to make a list and you got to make a good list. Now, when you first get started and you're new, you're just signing up. Some of you are just new. Maybe last night was your first night here. And you start out, and we're going to ask you to make just a small list to start. But once you are engaged, once you come to a training like this, once you are realizing that you want to make this work at a high level, you got to unleash. You got to unleash because you got to remember this. How many, how fast? You got to remember this. How many, how fast? How many people can we expose, and how fast can we expose it? Because you want to get momentum. You want momentum going? How many, how fast? How many people can we expose this to, and how fast can we expose it? That's what you're looking for, so that you can get some momentum, get some speed. So you got to be urgent. Then you got to also make sure that you don't prejudge. You can't sit around with your phone and go, well, this person, they're a lawyer, so they're not going to do it. And this person is a doctor, so they're not going to do it. And this person is a stay-at-home mom, she'll have no time. You could sit around and decide all day long who will and who won't do it. That's a bad idea. That's prejudging. How do you know who's going to do it? Are you part of the Psychic Friends Network? I mean, how do you know who will or who won't do it? Right. You don't. Let me share just one simple example of it. I have a friend of mine. He's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. He has about 5 practices here in the Atlanta area. We've been friends for quite some time. And not only that, he's been very successful in other business endeavors. He has a net worth that exceeds over $20 million. So it's easy for me to sit and think, well, this guy's never going to do it. But I don't think like that because I'm not trying to recruit him. I'm exposing him because I understand that I'm not necessarily interested in him. I don't look at a person. A person to me is like a tree. This is, let's say, a tree. I don't look at the tree. I look at the forest. See, I look at all the possibilities that just exposing it to him could lead me to, because he knows other people and or could lead me to other possibilities and opportunities. But if I don't expose him, I can't possibly explore those other opportunities. So that's why I expose it to everybody. So in this instance, I said, hey, listen, love to get your opinion on something. Can I shoot you a quick video? It's short, it's under 5 minutes. Take a peek at it. Just let me know. Love to get your feedback. So that's exactly what I did. So when he looked at the video, 2 things happened from this example. So when I followed back up with him and said, hey, did you check it out? He said, yeah. I said, listen, what were your thoughts on it? He goes, I have some questions, and we started to talk about the credit piece. Now, he has good credit, but he had some negative items on his credit report. So he said, listen, I have some things on my credit report. I'd like to get more information. So I gave him more information. He signed up as a customer. That's what he did. And he went from a 710 to over an 800 literally in 30 days. Because 3 items that he had came off in the first round of dispute letters, and his score went up over 800. So then I went back to him and I said, man, that's awesome. See, the service works phenomenal, especially for someone like yourself. Those items have been on there for a long time. It's great that the company was able to get them off. Look at your score. I said, let me ask you a question. Would it be okay, which is why, back to your starter kit again, if you're new, why you get one, because you need the tools that are in here. I took brochures, a la these, and on the back of the brochure, I put stickers, and on the stickers, I put my information, name, email address, and phone number. And I went out to Staples, or you could go to Office Depot, whatever the case might be. You can buy a brochure holder for about $3.50. and you can put these in a brochure holder. And I asked if I could put these on the counters at his offices so as people were checking out, they could see this. If it was something that interested, they could pull it. He said, absolutely, you could do that. So I did. That happened a couple of years ago, and since that time frame, now, it keeps going up, I've had already over 30 sales come from his business. Over 30 sales, doing nothing. I haven't done anything other than replenish these every so often. And the thing about it is, like in our business, you'd be amazed at how many people I've gotten calls from who pulled this brochure literally a year ago and have called a year later to get the service. Now, what if I never exposed it to him? He never asked me for no money. He didn't want any referral money. I'm not saying I wouldn't have given it to him if he would have talked to me about that, but he never did. He had no interest in that. He doesn't need money. But I exposed him to the opportunity, and that's what it led to. It led to something else just because of exposure. And that's the kind of thing that you can do and why you want to not prejudge. Because everybody fits into a category, right? Everybody fits into a category. Everybody either needs the service, knows somebody that needs the service, knows somebody in real estate or the mortgage business or the car business. I mean, think about that. How many of you in here, prior to knowing about FES, knew at least one person in real estate, the mortgage industry, or the car industry? Raise your hand. Everybody. Everybody. So doesn't that more than likely let you know that everybody also not in this room knows at least one person like that? Everyone fits into a category. So you can't prejudge. And then turn over every stone. Turn over every stone. I can go from training to training to training. And at every single training, I can point out scenarios where people would have been in somebody else's team had somebody turned over the stone, and oftentimes right in front of them. There are people sitting in here right now. I've had people come up to me since I've been sitting here going, yup, that person goes to my church. Yup, I knew that person. They actually came into my office and talked to me about some other business a long time ago. There's that all over this room in here. And you don't think that's going to happen more and more and more as FES becomes a household name? As more people hear about it? You got to get to work. Because it ain't going to be long before you're going to get a phone call from a friend of yours that's going to say, hello, hey, I wanted to just touch base. Listen, you got about 5 minutes. I want you to take a look at something I think you'd appreciate knowing about. And you're going to be, well, what is it? Well, let me ask you this. What did you just say? I said, let me ask you this. Do you know any people with, shut up? Don't say it. What? Less than. Shut up. Perfect. Stop it. That's what's going to happen. There's tons of people. All because what? You thought. That's what happened. All because you thought. You thought. Not them. Not this person. Oh, you thought. Don't think. Do the job. Do the job. See, that's what zero doubt belief does. See, zero doubt belief, there's nothing to think about. You just do. See, when you start thinking, it's because you're questioning. Just do. If you just do, you're not going to have that happen to you. But if you don't, just do it. You are. I'm telling you, and it's going to happen more and more and more. There could easily be people, all kinds of people. Everybody could have different groups. You'd be amazed. So don't allow it to happen to you. Turn over every stone.